Let me tell you something that many women will never say out loud, especially beautiful women. The way they experience attraction is often very different from the way men imagine it. Over the years, I've watched countless men make the exact same mistakes. Some were confident, successful, attractive, and financially stable, yet they still couldn't understand why certain relationships never worked the way they expected. Others believed that if they simply became more attractive, earned more money, or did everything right, they would finally become the one woman could never replace. But that's not how attraction works. One of the biggest misunderstandings men have is believing they can become the perfect man in a woman's eyes. The truth is, there is no such thing. No matter how attractive, successful, intelligent, or confident you are, there will always be another man somewhere who possesses a quality she finds appealing. He may be taller, he may have a different personality, he may be more adventurous, more charismatic, or simply represent something different. Mean she loves you less, or that your relationship is doomed. It simply means attraction is far more complex than most men realize. The mistake many men make is taking this personally. They become jealous, insecure, or obsessed with competing against every man who walks into the room. Ironically, that reaction often damages the relationship far more than another attractive man ever could. The men who understand female psychology see things differently. They stop chasing perfection because they realize it doesn't exist. Instead, they focus on becoming the strongest version of themselves while accepting a truth that many people find uncomfortable. Attraction is not about eliminating every competitor. It's about building enough confidence that you no longer feel threatened by their existence. And once a man reaches that point, everything about the way he carries himself begins to change. Another thing many men misunderstand is that women don't always want complete honesty in every situation. Before anyone misunderstands what I mean, I'm not encouraging men to become dishonest or manipulate people. Healthy relationships are built on trust, but there is a difference between being truthful and feeling the need to reveal every thought, every detail, and every insecurity simply because you believe honesty requires it. Many women already sense far more than men realize. They notice changes in your behavior, your tone of voice, your level of attention, and the way you carry yourself. Female intuition isn't magic, but women often pay close attention to emotional and social cues that men tend to overlook. Because of that, many women don't necessarily want every uncomfortable truth spoken aloud. Sometimes what they want most is emotional security. Think about it this way. Imagine a woman constantly asking whether she's still attractive to you. She isn't always looking for a detailed analysis of every woman you've ever found beautiful. She's looking for reassurance that she matters. That emotional reassurance is often more important than hearing information that serves no real purpose except creating unnecessary insecurity. This is where many men get confused. They believe being brutally honest means saying everything exactly as it comes into their mind. But maturity teaches something different. Not every thought needs to become a conversation. Not every observation needs to be shared. Wisdom is knowing the difference between honesty that strengthens a relationship and honesty that only creates unnecessary pain. The men who build the strongest relationships usually understand this balance. They communicate openly, but they also recognize that protecting trust sometimes means exercising restraint. They don't hide who they are, but they also don't mistake complete transparency for emotional intelligence. Those are two very different things, and understanding that difference changes the way many women experience a relationship. Something else I've noticed is that many men completely misunderstand how women think about status and value. This isn't always about money, fame, or expensive possessions. It's about how a man carries himself and how other people respond to him. Women are naturally observant. They notice the respect a man receives, the confidence he projects, and whether people enjoy being around him. Those things communicate far more than many men realize. A man who is respected by others often appears more attractive because that respect suggests confidence in leadership. It's the same reason some men seem to effortlessly attract attention without constantly trying. They aren't chasing approval. They're focused on building a meaningful life, and that naturally draws people toward them. This also explains why some women remain interested in men who have busy, purpose-driven lives. It isn't because women enjoy competing for attention or because they want to feel neglected. It's because purpose is attractive. A man who has goals, responsibilities, friendships, and ambitions demonstrates that his world doesn't revolve around one person. That creates balance, and balance often feels healthier than dependence. The mistake some men make is believing they need to manufacture jealousy or intentionally make a woman feel insecure to keep her interested. In reality, that usually damages trust over time. What keeps attraction alive isn't creating unnecessary drama, it's continuing to grow as an individual, instead of abandoning your own life once you're in a relationship. The women I know are often drawn to men who remain passionate about their purpose, protect their time, and continue investing in themselves. A relationship should become part of a man's life, not the replacement for it. When a man maintains his identity instead of losing himself in the relationship, many women naturally find that confidence and independence far more attractive than constant availability ever could. Another lesson I wish more men understood is that femininity doesn't exist in isolation. It responds to the environment of the relationship. This is something many women rarely explain because it can easily be misunderstood. Some men expect a woman to be soft, supportive, affectionate, and emotionally available, regardless of how the relationship functions. But attraction and relationship dynamics are rarely that simple. Every healthy relationship involves two people bringing different strengths to the table. Music. When a woman feels emotionally safe, respected, and confident in the direction of the relationship, many naturally become more relaxed, more nurturing, and more willing to express music, their feminine qualities. That doesn't mean every woman behaves the same way, nor does it mean one person is responsible for the other's happiness. It simply means relationships influence behavior more than many people realize. One mistake I see men make is becoming so focused on what a woman should be. Doing that, they stop music, asking whether they're continuing to grow themselves. Confidence, leadership, emotional stability, ambition, and reliability are qualities that create trust over time. Those qualities can't be replaced with expensive gifts or empty promises. They're built through consistent actions, and women notice that consistency far more than men often realize. At the same time, this doesn't give anyone permission to take advantage of a man's effort. A healthy relationship is never one-sided. Just as a man should continue becoming the best version of himself, a woman should also contribute through loyalty, kindness, respect, emotional maturity, and genuine support. Those qualities have to move in both directions. The strongest relationships aren't built because one person constantly sacrifices while the other simply receives. They're built because both people understand their value, respect each other's role, and create an environment where trust, appreciation, and attraction continue growing together instead, music of slowly fading apart. The final lesson may be the one that surprises the most because it has very little to do with looks and everything to do with presence. Music. Many men believe attraction is created by asking the right questions, saying the right words, or constantly trying to impress a woman. While communication certainly matters, one quality consistently stands out above almost everything else. Women are deeply attracted to men who know how to lead with quiet confidence. Chat music to hua, namni atap na. Now, before anyone misunderstands what I mean, confidence isn't about controlling a woman or treating her with disrespect. It's not about being loud, arrogant, or believing music, your opinion, is the only one that matters. Real confidence is much quieter than that. It's the ability to make decisions, music, without constantly second-guessing yourself. It's having direction instead of waiting for someone else to provide it. It's remaining calm when situations situations become difficult instead of becoming emotionally reactive. I've watched many men unintentionally place women in a position where they are expected to lead every decision. They ask where she wants to eat, what she wants to do, when she wants to meet, and what she thinks about every small choice. While there's nothing wrong with considering a woman's opinion, constantly handing over every decision can slowly create uncertainty. Many women appreciate a man who is thoughtful enough to make plans, confident enough to take initiative, and secure enough to handle responsibility without needing constant reassurance. This same confidence extends far beyond dating. It shows in the way a man carries himself around other people, how he speaks, how he responds under pressure, and whether he has a meaningful purpose outside the relationship. Women notice these things because confidence is difficult to fake. It's revealed through consistent behavior, not rehearsed words. Perhaps that's why the most attractive men aren't always the loudest or the wealthiest. And music, more often than not, they're the ones who know who they are, where they're going, and invite a woman to walk beside them instead of asking her to lead the way. Another thing I've learned from talking to women over the years is that attraction doesn't end once a relationship begins. Many men believe that once they've won a woman's heart, the work is over. They slowly stop investing in themselves because they assume commitment guarantees attraction. But beautiful women often describe something very different. They don't lose interest overnight. They lose interest when the man they were attracted to slowly disappears. This doesn't always happen because a man becomes less successful in music or less attractive physically. More often it happens because he becomes too predictable. His ambition fades, his curiosity disappears, his world begins revolving entirely around the relationship, and without realizing it, he stops growing as an individual. The confidence that first attracted her is gradually replaced by comfort, routine, and emotional dependence. Now, don't misunderstand this. Music. There's absolutely nothing wrong with consistency or stability. Every healthy relationship needs both, but stability should never become stagnation. Women are naturally drawn to men who continue evolving. A man who keeps learning, pursuing meaningful goals, staying healthy, developing new skills, and maintaining strong friendships brings a sense of momentum into the relationship. That momentum is attractive because it shows that life is still moving forward. This is also why I encourage men not to abandon the passions they had before they met someone. Keep exercising. Keep building your career. Keep spending time with your friends and family. Continue becoming a better version of yourself. A relationship should complement your purpose, not replace it. The happiest couples I've seen aren't built around one person completing the other. They're built around two people who continue growing individually while choosing to grow together. When a man never stops improving himself, attraction has far more room, music, to deepen instead of quietly fading with time. One thing that beautiful women notice almost music immediately, but many men completely overlook, is the difference between confidence and the need for approval. At first glance, those two qualities can look surprisingly similar. A man may appear polite, attentive, and eager to make a good impression. There's nothing wrong, music, with that. The problem begins when every decision he makes is driven by one question. Will this make her like me more? Women are remarkably good at sensing, music, that difference. When a man constantly changes his opinions, apologizes, music, for things that don't require an apology, or becomes afraid to disagree because he doesn't want to create tension, he unintentionally communicates something he never intended to say. He communicates that her approval has become more important than his own self-respect. Over time, that dynamic slowly changes the balance of the relationship. The men who leave the strongest impression don't behave that way. They listen carefully, they're respectful, and they value a woman's perspective, but they don't abandon their own identity in the process. If they disagree, they express it calmly. If they're busy, they don't pretend otherwise. If they have boundaries, they don't apologize for having them. That kind of emotional stability feels very different because it comes from genuine self-confidence rather than fear of losing someone. Music. I've heard many women describe this as feeling safe, not because the man always agrees with them, but because he's consistent. His personality doesn't change depending on who's standing in front of him. He's the same person with his friends, his family, his colleagues, and the woman he's dating. Ironically, the less a man depends on constant approval, the more authentic he becomes. And authenticity is one of the few qualities that never goes out of style because it's incredibly difficult to fake for very long. Another lesson many men eventually learn is that attraction is influenced by how a woman feels when she's with you, not simply by what you say to her. This is one of the biggest differences between how men and women often experience relationships. Music. Men frequently focus on solving problems, giving explanations, or finding the perfect words. Women, on the other hand, often remember the emotional experience more than music, the exact conversation. That doesn't mean facts don't matter. Of course they do, but emotions leave a lasting impression. Think about the people you've met throughout your own life. You may not remember every sentence they spoke, but you probably remember how they made you feel. The men who are genuinely successful with women eventually stop playing that game. They stop comparing themselves to every other man in the room because they understand something, music, far more valuable. Attraction isn't about perfection. It's about authenticity, emotional stability, and having a life that feels meaningful with or without a relationship. I've noticed that the happiest relationships often begin when a man no longer feels the need to convince someone of his worth. He isn't performing. He isn't pretending to be someone he's not. He knows his values, protects his boundaries, pursues his purpose, and allows the relationship to grow naturally instead of forcing it. Ironically, that's when many women feel the most comfortable around him, not because he's trying harder than everyone else, but because he isn't seeking constant validation. His confidence comes from the life he's built, not from another person's approval. Beautiful women notice that difference. They may not always describe it in those exact words, but they certainly feel it. And in the end, that quiet confidence leaves a far stronger impression than any rehearsed line, expensive gift, or carefully crafted image ever could. As we come to the end of this conversation, I want to leave you with one final thought. Everything we've discussed today comes music back to one simple truth. Beautiful women are still human beings. They have emotions, insecurities, desires, music fears, and expectations just like everyone else. Women are no different. This is why confidence has such a powerful effect. A calm man who remains composed during difficult moments creates a completely different emotional experience from someone who panics, overreacts, or constantly seeks reassurance. Likewise, a man who laughs easily, enjoys his life, and music brings positive energy into a room often becomes more memorable than someone who is simply trying to impress everyone around him. Many men mistakenly believe attraction is built through expensive dates, constant compliments, or grand gestures. While those things can be appreciated, they rarely replace the emotional experience a woman has every time she's around you. If she consistently feels respected, relaxed, emotionally safe, and genuinely enjoys your company, that feeling becomes associated with you. Perhaps that's why some relationships seem effortless from the outside. It isn't because those couples never face challenges. It's because they have created an environment where both people enjoy being together instead of constantly trying to prove themselves. At the end of the day, beautiful women don't simply remember what a man said. More often than not, they remember how consistently he made them feel. And that emotional memory often shapes attraction far more than men realize. If there's one lesson I hope every man takes away from this conversation, it's this. Stop trying to become the man every woman wants and start becoming the man the right woman naturally respects. Those are two completely different goals. Yet so many men spend years chasing the first one without realizing it can never truly be achieved. No matter how attractive you are, there will always be someone with a different quality that another woman finds appealing. No matter how much money you earn, someone else will always earn more. No matter how confident you become, someone will always have a different personality that captures another woman's attention. If your confidence depends on being the best in every category, you'll spend your entire life competing in a race that never ends.